Hey guys, it's Erica Galinas with Century 21 Affiliate in Schererville, Indiana, here for our weekly market update. This week we are talking about Munster. We're going to see what Munster did in January. January is always a slow month, particularly with this market, with this listing problem that we're having. So the numbers actually look pretty good for a slow part of the year. Certainly our January was snowy and cold and everything, so pretty typical slower market, but not as slow as you might think. So in January in the town of Munster, and this is all the houses, little condos, giant mansions, everywhere in between, we sold 32 units of real estate for about $11.5 million, which gives us an average sales price of $361,700. Now that includes, there were two $1 million homes. One was over $1 million, one was just under. So if we take those out, those $1 million homes gives us an average sales price of $324,989. So those $1 million homes, skewed at about $40,000. So for the more traditional single family condos where we are in Munster, we're about that $324,000. Average days on market, 21 days. Longer than normal. I mean, in Munster, we've seen like 5 days. But again, for January, for some of the inventory that's around, which is a little dated, it's been hanging around a while, 21 days actually is pretty good. List price to sales price, 98.95%, which is high, not 100, not over 100, as we saw some parts of last year, but 98.95% is a totally fine number. 10 of those were condos, 22 were single family homes. Two new construction, existing is 31 homes. So the new construction were the Centennial Village condos I keep talking about, which are selling. Looks like one was $378 and one was about $408,000. So that matches up pretty close with what we had. Our overall 2021 average sales price was about $340,000. So with the $1 million homes, average price in January, $361,000. Average price without those $1 million homes is $324,000. So we're actually right there. I mean, those ups and downs, $20,000 here and there, isn't making that much difference. It looks obviously like we're on the right track. In terms of active listings in Munster right now, there are 38 active listings in Munster. 19 of them are new construction. Again, mostly those Centennial Village condos. 19 are existing homes. Single family real estate, 15, 23 condos. So there, I think 19 of those condos are the Centennial Village. So there's, what would that be, 4 or 5 that are, the more traditional condos that have been around in Munster forever. The average listing price for the active listings right now is about $342,000, which is right on target with our 2021 average. A little bit higher without the $1 million homes in January, a little bit lower with the $1 million homes. There are $4 million homes still on the market in Munster. Again, those always take longer to sell. There's no indication that there's any kind of market problems, but those are kind of hanging around a while because there are very few buyers that have, $1 million to buy a home. So we'll probably see those on this list, for the next couple months at least. In terms of pending listings in Munster, so listings that were listed, found a buyer, haven't closed yet. They're waiting, in Centennial Village case, to actually build them, or they're waiting for title work or appraisals or something like that. There are 45 pending listings in Munster right now. None of them are $1 million homes. So those are, again, sitting, doesn't seem bad, but we don't have that same kind of activity in that high-end home, that luxury market, as we do in just more standard single family and condos. The average list price for these pending listings is $308,000, which is quite a bit less than the average in 2021, the average we had in January. Looking at the average days on market, the average days on market is 28 days, but there were a number of houses that were on the market for over 100 days. If we take those out, our average days on market is 18 days. So between that, those extra, over 100-day ones that are pending, and the listing price at 308, I am thinking that some of those pendings finally sold. They'd been on the market, 3 months, which actually isn't that horrible, but in this market, it's crazy. So they'd been on the market that 3 months. There were so few other listings to even look at, let alone win on a competitive bid situation, that some of these ones that have kind of dated, kind of been hanging around a while, have, found buyers. They haven't closed yet. This 308 may be higher, end up being higher, probably not by a whole lot, but I think some of those more dated listings that have been hanging around a while account for a portion of this pending number, which is why that listing price is a little bit lower. New construction, 17 new construction. There's 2 single families just kind of randomly scattered around Munster. The rest of them are those Centennial Village ones. The condos, the active listings in Centennial Village, there are 19 actives on those. They're averaging about $381,000, and that is for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, brand new 1,400 square foot condo in that building. So we're going to see those kind of filter through. If we continue to have a listing inventory problem, they will continue to sell for this in this $400,000 range. If for some reason a bunch of sellers decide to all list their home in the spring, we may see some movement on that. Builders are usually pretty good about pegging exactly where they're obviously they know their costs, buying the real estate, the construction, everything like that. They're usually pretty good about pegging where those sales prices are going to be. But because this market is so crazy with these listings, we're going to see, maybe if we get enough listings, 70% more listings in the spring, we may see those new construction numbers start to come down. But again, the chance that we're going to increase our inventory that much in the next 3 months, fingers crossed for everybody, but I don't know if it's going to happen. The other thing that I wanted to point out in Munster, and I've talked about this before, is that Munster has some very unique housing stock. They have, condos that were built in the 80s and 90s, which we didn't see in a lot of other towns around here. They have, obviously, the, Briar Ridge $1 Million Home Club, those kinds of things. They have a lot of really cool, like mid-century housing that was built in the 50s and 60s, just big brick ranches with like 2,600 square feet all on one level with these giant basements. There's some really cool houses in Munster. The issue with some of those really cool houses is that the person who built them in 1968 is still living there, however many years later it is now. They were very much custom-built homes. They were very much forever homes. So what we're seeing, again, we don't have a lot of listings, we need more, but what we're seeing with some of these listings is that they're, solid houses, but they're super dated inside. So I kind of dug down to see, on average, just using the January listings, these more dated houses that we know have closed, prices versus the ones that have been completely updated. And what I found was a house that is dated, not necessarily from the 60s, but maybe the last update was in 1996 or something like that. These more dated houses are selling in about the 220 to 250 range based on how dated they are, obviously square footage, what part of town, those kinds of things. Once those houses have been updated, so ones that were originally built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that have now been updated, whether it's a flip or whoever's lived there in the past 10 years have done their updating, those are selling in 300 plus. And again, that depends on, square footage, location, all the things that a normal house would depend on. So it's looking like in Munster, the average buyer tolerance for having to update a home is about $50,000 to $80,000, which is a tremendous amount of money. A lot of they'll buy them. They're like, well, it's livable. I mean, maybe it's kind of ugly, but it's livable. It's not falling apart or anything like that. So I'm going to, there's nothing else to buy in my price range. So I'm going to buy this house, deal with shag carpeting for 6 months or a year, and then I'm going to slowly but surely update this house to be what I want it to be. So you have actually really cool opportunity for buyers in Munster because they have these custom built homes, these fantastic layouts, housing stock that were really not built in other areas of Northwest Indiana. Get in, $250 for a non-updated house, still kind of expensive, but in this market, it's a super huge bargain. So there's a cool opportunity for buyers in Munster to find a really neat house that's just ugly, but it just needs to be updated. It just needs paint. It just needs flooring. Make kitchen, bathroom, whatever it is, which can be expensive. $50,000 to $80,000 is expensive, but you can end up with this awesome, custom brick ranch, completely updated at a lower price than, some of these, houses that were built in the past 10 years that have more standard floor plans, I guess I'll put it generously, more standard floor plans at, $420,000. So we might see, again, it depends on how many listings we have, but we might see over the next year or so, a lot of these houses, these custom houses in Munster changing hands from the original owner or owner who's been there decades, to new families, to new people who want to be closer to the city, who want a really cool house, who see the value in updating a house for themselves versus buying something that's either, very recent or something that's been updated by somebody else. So I'm going to keep an eye on that in Munster because there's not a lot of new construction. There's not a lot of places, anybody can go. So if you don't have, $450,000, you only can buy a, $300,000, kind of needs updating house, or even lower, and do the updating yourself. So it'll be cool. If you live in Munster, if you know somebody that's interested in moving to Munster, if you know somebody who does live in Munster, please share this video on their page. Obviously, I'm always happy to answer everybody's questions. 219-765-2062. You can call or text me at that number. If you want to email me, you can reach me at hsbyerica@gmail.com. That stands for Home Sales by Erica. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I do these updates every week. Next week we are talking about Dyer. So new construction, kind of running out of new construction space in Dyer. We'll keep an eye on those listings. I know there was something only like 11 closings in Dyer to January or something like that, just because there's no inventory. So we'll look at those numbers and see, because usually if there's no inventory, prices are high. So we'll see what's going on in Dyer. Thank you so much. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel to reach out, comment on this, and I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I'm glad you're enjoying my videos. If you have any questions about buying or selling, but I'm not in your area, I have connections to an international network of realtors who would be happy to help. Give me a call, text me anytime, 219-765-2062. I'll be happy to give you the name of a realtor in your area. Thanks.